Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be talking about plot. So when we're talking about story, usually a story will have three main parts. Okay, do you guys know what those three main parts are? Yes. Good, the beginning, the middle, and the end. But you can also break the beginning, middle, and end into more parts. You can actually break it into 5 parts. Okay, and that's what we call the plot. So the 5 parts, they are the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. Okay, so in the exposition, and these always go in order. Okay, so the exposition, and they'll go in order of the story also. So the exposition is the background information, or what happens first in the story. Okay, it's the background, what happens first. The rising action is what leads up to the main problem or the conflict. Okay, so you start off with like, in the exposition you have like the characters, where they're living, where are they at, just kind of, you're just giving them the information. Then the rising action is when things start happening. The climax of the story this is what happens when a problem or conflict reaches its highest point. Okay, so I always like to call the climax the oh my gosh moment. The I can't believe this just happened moment. Okay, and then after that moment, this is usually how the problem or the conflict is solved. So that's your falling action. Okay, and then the resolution is just how things end up. Okay, how everything will end up in that story and how your story ends. So we're going to watch a Pixar short video. And let me bring it up here. Okay, some of you might have seen this before, but this is called Presto. Okay, so while we're watching Presto, I want you to think about the 5 parts of the plot. Okay, the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. Then we're going to talk about it when the clip is over. Is the volume working on that? Kinda? Okay, how many of you have seen that before? Nobody? Did you like it? Yeah? Okay. So, even though this was, pretty short, it was a pretty short story, it still has a plot. It still has those 5 parts, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So, let me see here. Let's cover this up. Okay, so let's talk about what exactly those, 5 parts of the plot were. So, the exposition. Who was the story about? Yes? Good. We have the magician, we have the rabbit, and what's the magician doing at the very beginning? Yeah. Well, he's practicing at the very beginning, right, for a show. Okay, good. So he's practicing at the very beginning for a show, and what's the rabbit one? He what? He was hungry. He wants that carrot, right? Okay, so our exposition is it's the background information. What happens first? The characters. So the magician is preparing and practicing for a show, and his rabbit keeps trying to get the carrot with no luck. Okay, so that's our exposition. That's what's happening first. Okay, what I always like to do, then I like to move on to the climax, the third one. I like to think, what is that oh my gosh moment? Right? And you can actually just start with that oh my gosh moment. So from the clip, what was the oh my gosh moment for you guys? What was the kind of the turning point moment? Yeah. Okay, he was kind of ruining all of his magic. I wouldn't necessarily call that your climax though. Yes, Anisu.
When the rabbit was putting his hand in like different places.
Okay, and yeah, he was like electrocuted and stuff. But I would even think a little bit after that. What almost happens to the magician? He almost dies. Okay, so I would think that would be your biggest oh my gosh moment. Like the magician's about to die. Yes, like both of you guys said, they're fighting back and forth. Okay, so what you guys just said would be your rising action. Okay, of how the magician and the rabbit are fighting. Okay, he shows them that he's not going to give them the carrot. Okay, so the rabbit's not going to cooperate. So they start fighting back and forth, and that's what leads us into our oh my gosh moment of them fighting each other. Okay, so that is our climax. It says they're fighting with each other, and it gets to a point where it appears the magician is not fall to his death, but he's about to have the piano land on. Okay, and what happens after that? The rabbit what? He saves him, right? He realizes that the magician's about to die, and he actually saves him. So that is your following action. And then how does the story end up? What happens at the very, very end? They come out on stage, and it seems like they are now what? Friends, right? Okay, so that's your exposition. Or not your exposition, but your resolution. Okay, so did I take any of the story and mix it up here, or is the story in order right here? It's in order, right? So that's how you're going to do that. You're never going to start at the end and then start in the middle and then start at the beginning. Okay? You always just kind of take your story and then you just kind of chop it into 5 parts. Okay, so that's why I say it's always easier if you find the climax first. If you really think, okay, what's that oh my gosh moment of the story? Well, if I knew that the magician about to die is your oh my gosh moment, then I know everything that happens before that is my exposition and my rising action. Everything that happens after that is my falling action and my resolution. So that kind of makes it easier for you to, kind of categorize it, kind of thing. Okay? All right, go ahead and open up your iPads to Canvas. And open up to the assignment that is titled Wrong Email Address. Yeah. Okay. And actually, if you want to, you could plug it in up here and sit over there, and then just work on that. No problem.
right now, and we're working back on it.
Okay, so wrong email address. Do you guys see it on Canvas? It's like just one, like 2 paragraphs. Okay? Alright, so just follow along with me, and while we're reading, I want you to think about what the plot is, but I also want you to think about what the theme is. Now, what did we say the theme was? Well, let's talk about what a theme is. This is what we talked about yesterday. A theme is our what?
Lesson.
Our life lesson that we should be learning, right? Good. Okay, it's our lesson. So what's a lesson we should be learning from this? Okay, treat others the way you want to be treated. Okay, perhaps. He should have given the rabbit, all he wanted was the carrot, and then the rabbit kind of realized that, it was getting kind of out of hand to where the point where the magician was going to die. Okay, would he have had an amazing show and ending if they would have not been friends? No, I mean, it would have ended really bad. So you could perhaps say, to be successful, you need to be able to get along with people. You need to be able to get along with your colleagues. Okay? They were fighting for a while. Yeah, the crowd was kind of liking it, but it wasn't looking too good for the magician. Okay? He wasn't really being too successful. So to be successful, he kind of had to work with the rabbit and just realize that he needed to give him the carrot. That's all he wanted was the carrot. Okay, so wrong email address. It says a couple going on vacation. There was a couple going on vacation, but his wife was on a business trip, so he went to the destination first, and his wife would meet him the next day. Okay, does that make sense? They're going to go on vacation together, but he was going to go first, and then she was going to meet him later, like the very next day. It says, when he reached his hotel, he decided to send his wife a quick email. Unfortunately, when typing her address, he mistyped a letter, and his note was directed instead to an elderly preacher's wife whose husband had just passed away only the day before. Okay, so he writes his wife an email, he doesn't type her address in right, and it gets sent to a different lady. And the lady it gets sent to, her husband had just died the day before. When the grieving widow checked her email, she took one look at the monitor, let out a piercing scream, and fell to the floor in a dead faint. At the sound, her family rushed into the room and saw this note on the screen. Dearest wife. Okay, so right now, she already thinks that what?
Her husband is alive.
Not necessarily that he's alive, but that he's emailing her, but he just died the day before. Okay, so obviously this is a little freaky, right? He writes, just got checked in, everything prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Remember, he's dead. P.S. Sure is hot down here. The family was smart enough to read who the letter was from before overreacting. Okay, so obviously, she, for her feigning, that shows that she believed that this email was from her dead husband. And when he says, P.S. sure is hot down here, did he go to a good place when he died? No. And it says, see you, or everything's prepared for your arrival tomorrow, meaning that she thinks she's going to die, all right? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to open up to Docs and copy these questions, and then I want you to answer them, okay? And then we'll go over them when you are done.